this is Marley K. I have a story for you today from Science Daily. It is dated February 20th, 2023. The title of it is Rationing, a Fairer Way to Fight Climate Change. The source is the University of Leeds, and the summary states World War II style rationing could be an effective way to reduce carbon emissions, according to new research. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, but I want to bring it to you because it's really important for a variety of reasons. Y'all know I don't waste your time with nonsense. So I'm bringing this to you because I believe it's important. The reason that I believe it's important, one, is because we're getting ready to go into World War III. As they push this on us or they sneak it under the rug, a lot of things are going to happen. A lot of things are going to change for us fundamentally for a long time. If you have relatives that went through the Great Depression or lived through World War II, when you ask them about rationing, I don't know anybody that has anything good to say about that era. Like everybody talks about how hard it was, how hungry they were, how they didn't have enough. And when they mention rationing, they kind of talk about it as like, we had to get the government to give us blah, blah, blah. But they didn't really talk about it in a good thing. It's like they were grateful they had it because they didn't have to starve, but they were like dirt poor and they struggled. And the only people that I talked to or that I know that were kind of okay were the people who were kind of self-sufficient, the people who lived in the country, the people who were able to grow vegetables and things. But even then, they talked about how people stole their stuff. Um, they grew vegetables and they would go to work, they'd come home and their stuff would be gone. People would watch their house. So if ration if rationing is going to become a part of our existence, then we're going to have to deal with all the things that come along with rationing. The other thing that I want you to pay attention to is the language that they use in this piece because it is really alarming. So let's get into it. In a paper published today in the journal Ethics, Policy, and Environment, academics argue that rationing could help states to reduce greenhouse emissions rapidly and fairly. Policymakers have considered other schemes. Now, I want to give you the definition of this word, schemes, from the Cambridge Dictionary. Scheme, according to the Cambridge English Dictionary, is an organized plan for doing something, especially something dishonest or illegal that will bring a good result for you. A scheme, according to dictionary.com, is a plan, design, or a program of action to be followed, a project, or an underhanded plot, intrigue, a visionary or impractical project. So they are talking about a scheme in concert with this piece, and I just find it interesting. So as a person who analyzes words for governmental entities for money for a living, please pay attention to the words that they use in concert with policy making, in concert with research, and anything that they pushed, because these words matter. We may use them in one context, but they mean totally something totally different to policy makers, to politicians, to lobbyists and corporations and money people. Policymakers have considered other schemes to reduce emissions, including carbon taxes and personal carbon trading schemes. But the researchers say these favor the wealthy who could buy the right to pollute if trading were allowed. And that's basically what the rich are doing now. So you'll have somebody like Bill Gates who will fly their um, jet all over the world, but then they'll buy carbon credits from some poor place like the Bahamas. And the Bahamas don't get credit for reducing carbon emissions. The computer guy who knows all things does. So it's a scheme, basically. There's always a workaround for rich people. The authors argue that carbon rationing would instead allow people to receive an equitable portion of resources based on their needs, therefore sharing out the effort to protect the planet. Um, this is really important. I found it interesting. Joint lead author Dr. Nathan Wood, who is now a postdoctoral fellow at Utrecht University's Fair Energy Consortium, said the concept of rationing could help not only in the mitigation of climate change, but also in reference to a variety of other social and political issues, such as the current energy crisis. So notice how they loop in social and political issues with rationing. So it's not just going to be they're going to ration for climate change. They're also going to ration for social and political issues. So if you are of a different political persuasion, something that the government doesn't want you to be, they can ration you. If you have uh, different political opinions that are considered unfavorable, you could be rationed with your little ration card. So they're coming up, they're telling you what they're getting ready to do. This is not an if, this is just whenever they get ready to roll it out. They're already telling you that they did it during World War II. They're getting ready to start World War III officially sometime soon. So you can look for rationing coming soon, which is why I've been telling you for the last couple of years to prepare. Just a variety of things are coming down the pipe. Everything is happening all at once. And while it may seem like it's a whole lot of stuff, and it is, it's not going to stop. It's only going to get worse. It's meant to keep you confused and dizzy and disoriented so that when they kick you in your stomach and pull a chair from under your butt, you won't know what happened. Lessons from the past. Records from World War II show that the compulsory food rationing was more acceptable to the UK public than voluntary changes to diet when resources became scarce. So they're basically saying you can't be trusted to make decisions to change your behavior, so they have to help you do it. The policy aimed to share goods and burdens more equally, regardless of wealth, which was an important part of its popularity and success. Historic rationing policies also introduced price controls on goods to keep key resources affordable for most people. As a result, rates of malnutrition went down during World War II, despite the shortages. A key difference between World War II rationing and the climate crisis is public perception. Yes, because that crisis is some BS. I'm just saying. They're creating the crisis, as you can see, if you have eyes to see. Um, the availability of thousands of garments, gadgets, and goods at the click of a button can give the illusion that resources are available in abundance, but the reality is starkly different. Well, this is a bunch of BS because they have just-in-time ordering and delivery. So in real time, if you order something online, it can tell you how many more are available down to the last one, last color. Even if you order something from a store, it's only going to allow you to order what's in the store. So you can't order something and then go to the store and they're like, oh, we don't have it, we're sorry. It may happen on a rare occasion, but it's not often. So this scheme, this lie, to persuade us that oh, ordering online is not real. This is how they lay the foundation. So I want to get to what equitable rationing could look like, because this is, to me, the most important part of this research. So researchers suggest that rationing probably wouldn't be the first step. Instead, check this out. Policy changes could start with stricter regulations and an accompanying information campaign to communicate the benefits of rationing. So they're going to change the policies and then tell you why it's good for you, why it's good for the environment. So they have to convince you that you need rationing and that it's good. It's going to help the environment to make you feel better about it, like they've been doing for all these years. Initially, governments could regulate the biggest polluters, such as oil, gas, petrol, long haul flights, and intensive farming, creating scarcity in products that harm the planet. Rationing could then be introduced gradually to manage the resulting scarcity, with the aim of meeting everyone's basic needs. This one paragraph sums up my favorite saying is that they create the problem, then they create the solution. They're telling you that they're creating scarcity, and then they're going to turn around and ration stuff to meet our basic needs. So they're not trying to meet over what you need. They're not even telling you who gets to decide what your basic needs will be. They say basic needs. That means you can have one shirt and one pair of pants and one underwear and two socks. Not two pair, two socks. You might only be able to get new shoes every 2 or 3 years. Understand where this is going. The academics identified 2 options for rationing policy. Policymakers could introduce an all-encompassing carbon allowance, giving out carbon cards like bank cards to track and limit usage. This is coming. They're already out. They're using them in Sri Lanka. They're using them in other countries. So just because they're not here in the United States, and they may be here being test piloted someplace, but they're not out in mass. But they're going to be rolled out with this CBDC soon. Alternatively, governments could ration specifically selected goods such as flights, petrol or gas, household energy, which means they can cut your gas and lights off whenever they feel like it, or even meat or clothing. They are going to ration meat. And, they keep on telling us there's something wrong with the birds, there's something wrong with the cows, there's something wrong with the pigs. The water's being polluted, so the fish are dying. The air is polluted, so birds are dropping out of the sky. Wildlife will be dying off. The ocean is polluted. There's not going to be nothing here for you to eat but soil and green. That's the ration. I just don't even know what to say. According to the researchers, it's likely that rationing would accelerate the transition from fossil fuels to cleaner energy and more sustainable lifestyles. Dr. Wood said, for example, rationing petrol could encourage greater use of and investment in low carbon public transportation, such as railways and local trams. The researchers hope that the paper will inspire policymakers to consider rationing as a serious option for fighting climate change. So I'm telling you that this is coming within the next year or two. They already have the things in place. They have been testing them for the last couple of years since the pandemic. and they are ready to roll it out big time. If you can, do whatever you can to make sure you are in a position to deal with what is coming. If you need to move, move. If you got an old house you can move into in the country that belongs to somebody and fix it up, it's paid for. I suggest you get into it. Sell what you got and get on. If you're living in the country, you should be planting a garden. You should be trying to do whatever you can to be self sufficient. If you live in the city, you still should be doing what you can to not have to rely on rations as much as you can. Put in your house as much non perishable food as possible. Um, Figure out how you're going to survive. If you have a lot of children, or if your children have a lot of children, what are you going to do about rationing clothes and meat? Are you ready for that? I don't know how we're going to make it. And I'm going to keep saying this. We're going to have to rely on the Most High to get us out of this. And we're supposed to watch, and we're supposed to prepare and do what we need to do to survive. We got to endure to the end. So I'm telling you so that you can be prepared. I don't know what's coming, but I do know a war is coming. And with this war, they are going to be rationing everything that we need for our survival. We won't be able to use energy the way that we have been. We won't be able to use the internet the way that we have been. We won't get water. They're going to ration water. They'll ration food. They're going to ration clothing. They're going to ration our movements. Everything is going to be rationed. So if you live in the city, you really need to pay attention to this. If you live in the country, you still need to pay attention, but you have a few more options at your disposal. But what I want you to take away from this is coming. I will give it a year or two. They're already probably sometime later on this year ready to roll out the CBDC, the digital currency. They're already rolling it out in other countries. They're threatening folks with jail and all sorts of stuff. Once this war starts, everybody's going to close shop. Globalization will essentially be over. Countries are not going to be sharing food and trading with other countries. You're going to have what's inside your own borders. And for us as Americans, because we don't manufacture a lot, they're going to ration. And it's just not going to be pretty. So put yourself in a position to try to sustain yourself during this rough patch. It's not going to change. This is going to be the new normal. And it's going to be for a long time. If you have relatives that have lived through World War II or the Great Depression, ask them about rationing. They're not going to have any good stories to tell. And if you get any stories about rationing, put them in the comments so that other people who watch this video can understand what rationing really is going to be like, because we haven't lived through real rationing in our lifetimes. If you were born, say, in the 50s on up, we don't have any clue. The rationing that I experienced was during the pandemic, and it was tough finding toilet paper and certain household items that we needed to get through the pandemic. But there was a workaround in South Florida, because there are different supply chains. There are stores that don't get their stuff from America. Sometimes you had to go to an international market, but international markets had things that American grocery stores didn't have. And if you didn't know about them, shame on you, but I didn't miss a beat. I found what I needed. I had to go to other places, but I got what I needed. if they introduce rationing, your movement is going to be limited, so you may not be able to go to wherever you want to go and get whatever you want to get. And you hear they're rationing meat. So if they're going to ration meat, I suggest you get canned, meats, non-perishables, and stack them as high as you can by the case in your home. If you like meat, we may need protein. Um, you may want to just have it as a treat once a week or something, but we got to be creative during this time to navigate what's coming. So I'm not going to prolong this video. Please like the video, share it, subscribe to this channel if you like this type of content. Please also go to my YouTube homepage, subscribe to my Rumble and my Odyssey channels. If you enjoy this content, if you enjoy this content, also consider giving a donation, because I do this out of the kindness of my heart. You do not have to give, but I do take time to look at these stories and provide you with some insight into our dystopian future. So if you feel like it's valuable, I would appreciate a gift. If you can't and if you don't, hey, it is not a problem. I'm going to still do my job when the spirit leads me to do it. If I have something to tell you, if I find something interesting, I'm going to always tell you, because I love my people and I want you to be well. So with that said, y'all be blessed, pray, repent, grab hold of the hand of the Most High and hold on tight, because we getting ready to go on a ride we have never been on. And if we don't grab hold of him and ask him for guidance and mercy and grace, we are going to be in some trouble. So keep watch and prepare. Faith without work is dead. You're going to be dead if you don't have faith and do the work to stay alive. The work is preparing physically, but also preparing spiritually by staying in your word. Read your Bible daily, listen to inspirational music, prepare. We cannot be fear. We can't be anxious. It's easy to dread and fear. And I don't tell you this stuff because I want you to be anxious or fearful. I tell you this because I want you to prepare. I see it, and so when I see it, I'm supposed to pass it along to you so that you can see it and understand what is coming and prepare yourselves and your families, especially if you're responsible. So with that said, I'm out.